Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm with Incorta, your no limits data delivery platform, which enables endless possibilities. I'm Brian Boxman, as I mentioned, and that I'm with Incorta, responsible for sales. I have the pleasure of speaking with Amin Venjara, Chief Data Officer at ADP. Access to data, right? How you ensure that that data is fit for purpose from a quality perspective and a timely manner. And you mentioned before, you run pipelines, you then, you move it into your data platform, which is probably something significant. And then, you transform that data or test that data to ensure. So I guess what I'm wondering is that something that's a challenge for you guys, one of your largest costs, and does that, what kind of strategy do you have to optimize that area?
Yeah, and I think there's maybe a couple ways to take this because a lot of times what this comes back to is ensuring that you're doing something responsible with the data governance, but also fueling innovation. And with the speed of innovation that we're seeing, being able to have that fine-tuned balance. So let me maybe kind of take the conversation then to your question there and talk a little bit about some of the strategies we're deploying on that front. So the first thing is, what we work together. I think all of this starts with having a really tight collaboration between security, legal, and compliance and privacy and the data organization. And that has been foundational to us. And I think working very, very closely with those partners and coming up with a consistent viewpoint. And since, I'd say over the last, we've had really good partnerships, but over the last, say 2 years where we've really been digging in, or especially around GenAI acceleration, our processes have come closer together. So let me give you an example of what that's manifested in. One is we've created a consistent intake process that actually, so we use Jira internally for tracking stories and epics and things like that when we're releasing. We actually incorporated the way that we monitor the use cases and intake them so that the intake is part of the same process. And you can actually see how something is progressing. Just like we're building software, you can track where your ticket is easily. And you can see did security sign off? Did privacy sign off? Did compliance sign off? How long is it taken? What stage am I at? And that also gives us the system of record of all the use cases and what stage they're at, who signed off, what comments are there. And it gives us a very robust process about what use cases are happening. And
So
then
that's a lot of transparency for all parties involved, it sounds like.
exactly, right? There's no like email, this, that, back and forth, whatever. It's like, here's the process, here's how it happens. And it's tied to our software development process. Now, alongside that, we recognize that you want to be able to create like a sandbox because maybe somebody's not ready to be able to submit a formal use case. They can just register something and they want to try it. Working together with security, legal, privacy, said, okay, what are the standards you need to put in place? Where now, if these apply, we've applied them in a software way to a sandbox, we could let internal folks try out these models that have been approved, right? That have been approved, and they're working on secure data. They're not working on any data that wouldn't leave the system. So now we can be able to do that and let people try things out in a secure way, and then be able to get into our approvals process where greater and greater rigor is then used as you start to take real data and start using it in, escalating levels of production environments. And so it's this kind of waterfall and I guess this escalation of hey, how do you innovate over here, track everything and create transparency? And then as you get in, another great innovation from our infrastructure team has been around creating a gateway, an AI gateway, so that all the different models that we have approved and that we use are come through a single gateway. And so we can see the health, we can track any use cases that are going through them, and we can deploy, kind of both what inputs and outputs to be able to monitor and govern those use cases. All of those things are super critical, but getting that infrastructure built was, it took a lot of work to invest to do that while teams are trying to innovate and move quickly.
Wow, I can imagine, going through that. You don't have any any gray hair. So you've handled it very well, it appears. And that
Well, I don't know about that. We could, my kids get on me about that all the time.
you've definitely carried that through. And I'm sure you've had many late nights and adjudicating process. But the last kind of category or question that we like to talk about here is, kind of talent development in a world where there's so much dynamic change in human development and how people, are handled. There is some sadness out there, but there is some, great stories as well. But it appears that what you kicked off this meeting is that, people mean a lot to the organization at ADP. It's your backbone, and that investment in those folks, especially data people, is absolutely critical. So can you speak to that as to how you go find talent and grow talent and train talent and leverage it to keep them around and continue with your mission?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it is the lifeblood of, again, we not only apply that in how we think about helping our clients do that, but also what we do internally. And so one is finding the right people and giving people opportunity, right? To try new things, just like that sandbox, or, giving people the chance to innovate and try new ideas is really, really important. So when we think about creating that, environment that people want to be in, we've set out first, like a way for people to understand what good looks like, right? So that even when we're recruiting people or when people are here, they know what that is. And so we've designed a set of principles, right, around our customer obsession, the way that we have to move the needle innovation, earn your trust every day, explain the why. Like we're very clear about, look, this is what good looks like. And we also have like kind of quarterly awards where we recognize people for, demonstrating their ability to be able to do that. Another thing that's really important is bringing the expertise, and especially in data environments, people have expertise in this area, but they really need to understand the problem in the domain very carefully. So what we've set up is actually these, what we call seat rides. And so we bring the engineers and the product managers and the data scientists and listen client calls with our service teams. And so they can actually do that. And so we kind of have every quarter or so, we kind of have a process where you can log into a system, listen to the calls, and do that in a group environment where then you can debrief on, what does this mean? What was the problem the client was going after? What was the service person trying to do? Like, what is going on here? And we filter those contacts so that it's like relevant to the products that people are working on. So now they can understand and feel that empathy. Like, what is my client trying to solve? And that's what an engineer's brain typically lights up. It's like, I get it. Like, this is the problem. I can go figure out a way to make that happen. And so one of the ways that we're also inspiring that, there's two things we're doing internally. I'm creating what's called a Gen Education series. So every month we bring one team from across the enterprise that's doing something with GenAI and allow them to do like a how I built this type of webinar. And so they talk about the problem they're solving, demo the thing that they've built, and then get into the architecture of how they've done it. So we can get a bit of that circulation of ideas and also the people building it. And then the last thing that we are doing and launching it this year is what we're calling a data day. So we're actually now kind of galvanizing around the organization and saying, we want to have a data day where we can surface the great innovations happening with data across the company, surface those up and understand how the platform can support everybody to do that. And also have a little hackathon to, innovate new ideas and select the new ones that are going to go forward for the rest of the year.
Wow. That's a great environment. Getting your technical folks to understand the use cases and get in front of the business or align with the business and then demonstrate it and what the value is. It sounds a little bit like you're running a commercial software organization like ours, which is you've taken, or we've taken, I'm not sure where it's come from, but a lot of joint best practices on, delivering capabilities that would be value to the customer. So, thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of alignment between what you do every day and think about and what we do, thinking about no limits, right, on your data delivery. That's because that's what we all need. We need no limits on data delivery, which will give unlimited possibilities for product, for automation. And I think we all believe, just like what keeps me up at night is that the data is there, the processing is there. how can we ultimately get to the cure for cancer, right? I think I really believe it's there. And I think, we're getting closer and closer, and that gets exciting for us all. So any final comments for you? I've really enjoyed this time, and we've covered the topics. Any final comments to close out?
Well, just I think it's a phenomenal time to be in this space. I would say, I think even like 5 years ago, I mean, a lot of the conversation around data was, trying to get everybody to recognize and pay attention to like what's possible here, why you have to invest and spend the time. And, just in conversations with somebody around the industry, like that's not even a question anymore.
Thank you for sharing and taking the time today. I very much appreciate it. It was great to meet you and wish you wonderful success.
You too, Ryan.
Thank you.